Alright, today we're going to be taking a look at the inside of this 2-in-1 compressed air duster and vacuum. It's the HT201, as you can see there. I actually received this as a Christmas present last year, so it's about 11 months old. I've used it a handful of times. It tends to be relatively useful for blowing out computers and things like that. But I went to go use it today. Tried to turn it on. It was dead. I didn't think that was too big of a deal, so I plugged it in. And it was acting kind of funny. At first, didn't want to take a charge, and I plugged it into a different USB adapter, and then it did take a charge for a while, and then it said it was full. And when I unplugged it when it said it was full, it wouldn't turn on. So I thought maybe something was going on with the battery pack, so I decided to take it apart, which is relatively easy. 6 Phillip head screws. You can see where they go on the case there, and then this just pops apart. You have to undo this, which that just screws off, and you have to take off this bottom plastic cover, which is just kind of clips in place on the bottom of the unit here. That reveals 2 of the screw holes. And when you pop this open, there's not too much in it. There's a battery pack, which I've already taken the liberty of slicing the blue shrink wrap off of. There's a circuit board here. This charges via USB-C. There's this secondary circuit board. So that just has the battery indicator, and then 1, 2, and 3 are the fan speeds. And then it's a brushed DC motor with a little sort of vacuum pump assembly. I guess not vacuum pump, but the same sort of impeller design that you'd find in a vacuum cleaner. Anyway, I think the interesting part of this is probably the battery pack. And this was plugged into the connector on the board here. You notice that it is only 2 wires. There's nothing much going on with that battery pack. And when we pop this blue heat shrink off of it, there's no battery management system or anything on this, which could be okay. But I measured the voltage across this battery pack, and it was about 7 point something, which would imply that these 3 cells are probably in series. You wouldn't necessarily have to have a battery management system. In fact, there wouldn't be any point in having a battery management system on this if all of these cells were in parallel and they're only around 3.7 volts. So as you can see, our positive starts here, goes to the negative of this cell, which goes to the positive of this cell, which goes to the negative of this cell, which goes to the positive of this cell, which goes to the negative of the system. So these are wired in series, so it should really have balance leads on it. And looking at these cells, I'm not even sure they have any kind of protection on them whatsoever. Now, there is a chance that the board on here has this board definitely has to have the charging circuitry and over and under voltage protection, but I don't know if it has overcurrent or not. You'd kind of assume that it does. At least you'd hope it does. And the other thing I noticed about this was while it was charging, the handle down here where the battery pack was sitting was getting pretty warm. They really should not get warm while they're charging, assuming you're charging them at a relatively low rate, which this thing was accepting 0.5 amp on the USB port. So let's just try measuring the voltages of the cells on here and see what we have. Curious what's going on here. So first off, let's measure the voltage across the entire pack at the connector. Well, actually, connector's gonna be hard to probe. Let's go. Entire pack is this negative to this positive. Okay, so our entire 3 series cells is at 5.38 volts, which is not very good. Let's go ahead and take a look at, I'm going to call this cell number 1. This is the cell with the positive lead coming off of it. That cell has 3.94 volts, which is perfectly happy and healthy for a lithium ion cell. let's go to cell number 2, which would be this guy. That one has 0.0027 volts, so about 2 millivolts across it. That's not very good. And we'll measure the last one, which has 1.4 volts, which is also not good. So it would appear as though the only cell in this that's still functioning is the top one. I'm assuming these cells got horrifically out of balance and they eventually failed. There's only one that seems to be still working. I probably wouldn't trust it too much given the fact that it's probably been way overcharged. And I'm assuming they're overcharged because the other cells are at 0 and, well, at least one of the other cells is at 0 and is probably shorted. Honestly, pretty lucky this didn't light on fire or do something horrendous, because it's clearly failed. But anyway, let's see if we can do anything about this and maybe make this unit functional again. I'll give them a little bit of credit for building this. They did spot weld all the connections, and there's no solder on any of this. These little things are actually crimped on and then spot welded onto the battery terminals. So that's kind of cool. So let's go ahead and cut the wires going into the pack. I'll set that off to the side. And if you're curious, there are absolutely no markings on any of these cells. They're kind of a purplish color. That's really the only thing that's identifiable about them. So, I mean, it's some form of 18650, but I don't know anything about brand or anything like that. So it looks like they're maybe even just super glued together. I'm just seeing some of the drips of glue up here. So it looks very super glue-like. I did kind of mess up this connector, unfortunately. It's supposed to be soldered on the 2 sides, but when I was trying to get this out, I ended up breaking that off. You can see this has this red glue. Actually, all the connectors on here have this red glue on them, which is good for vibration. They have attention to detail in some places, but not others. Just for the fun of it, let's see if we can power it up with an external supply still. So what I'm thinking I'd do with this thing is take either an XT60 connector like this or some kind of DC barrel plug to terminal block adapter like this one and put that in the bottom of this case like that, or I could glue the XT60 in here and cut a slot. I think this would be easier because I can just drill a hole in the bottom of the case that's the same size as this and then put some epoxy around this and it'll just stick in there nicely. This I'd have to get a little creative with a Dremel probably. Another potentially interesting idea is last video we looked at an M12 Milwaukee work light, and if you're in that M12 system or you had some other type of 12-volt battery system, you could potentially adapt this to use a 12-volt power tool battery, which would be okay. Okay, I have successfully drilled a hole. It's even mostly round. It's a little bit hard to drill this thin plastic because my drill bits just want to get sucked straight into it instead of actually drilling a hole. But I've got this, so it fits in here. We've got the hot glue gun just off frame, heating up. All right, those are both nice and tight. Put this in here. And we'll fill this up with glue. All right, that should be perfectly excessive. I'll hold this for a minute while that cools, and then we'll put the screws back in, test it out. Okay. That goes on like that. The only thing left is this gray cover, which I'll obviously have to put a hole in if I want this to work. But let's try it out before we do that. This plugged into the power supply. I should be able to plug this straight into here. Turn it on. There we go. It says we have a full battery. Alright, still pulls about 3.5 amps, 12.6 volts. We've gone from cordless to corded, but it does now function at least. So I'd call that an improvement. So I got my hole drilled in the bottom, labeled it 12 volts. It's not quite centered, I just eyeballed it. It's close enough. But I also found this, which is kind of almost perfect for what we need. This is a 12.6 volt, well, that's the input, 3S lithium ion battery, so 11.1 volts or so nominal, 3,000 milliamp hours. It has a barrel plug on it. Also has a barrel plug for, this is the charging input, which is what this guy is. So this is a lithium ion charger, half amp charger, so it takes an age to charge this battery with it, but it does work. And we can plug this guy in here, turn the switch on the side of it on, and it may even be able to charge off the USB port on here too. I'm not sure if this will allow backfeeding power in through this cable or if you can only charge it through this, but this battery at least has protection. So press and hold this button for a second, the display will turn on. It looks all flickery and terrible on camera, of course, but you can see it's on there. It's not that flickery in real life. But we can go into low speed, medium speed, and high speed unfortunately trips out. That's why I said this is almost perfect. The overcurrent protection in this battery will not allow this thing to run at maximum speed, which is disappointing, but everything else works. We can turn the light on and run it at low speed at least. So anyway, I found a way to still power this guy portably and keep it functional. So anyway, interesting product, ruined by poor design on the battery pack front at least. So anyway, that's about it for this video, guys. I'll see you next one. Bye.